Hi, we're Quentin Curious Volumes. My name is James. It's a Friday, so I thought I'd come on here and do a little Friday reads, tell you about what I read this week, what I'm gonna read next week, and about some bookish adventures and experiences that I have had. So I showed you this last Friday, I believe, "The Good Soldier" by Maddox. I have read all of the words in this book, so I can say that I really liked it. It is, as it says on the cover, a tale of passion. There is little to no military content in this novel. It is from 1915. It is a story with an unreliable narrator and a very strange way of telling the story, and that is kind of out of order. Everything is not chronological. Everything that is, all the events of the book has happened, and they're being recollected, and he will shift around in time wildly, and so things will happen, and then 20 pages later they'll be like, oh, and this thing had happened before that, so that's probably why that happened, right? Like, for example, not a big spoiler. I'm not going to give you any big spoilers in this book, but for example, he's having some issues with his wife, and eventually he's like, as we were preparing to get on the boat, I gave this important package to my servant, and he dropped it, and so I beat him mercilessly. So she may have been a little leery of me because of that. Right? So anyway, this narrator is a real piece of work. He's got quite a voice. So whether you enjoy this book or not is going to depend a great deal on whether or not you connect with and enjoy living in this guy's head. He's not a pleasant place. He's weird. He's obsessed with his friend Edward Ashburnham. He loves and also hates his wife for, yeah, I guess pretty good reasons. But do we know if he's telling us the truth about her? Do we know if he's telling us the truth about what happened to her? You don't really know. But this is a book for rereading. It's not a book that I'm keen to dive back into, but I definitely would like to read more of Maddox Ford. It is indeed a tragic and a sad story. Um, Maybe not the saddest story I have ever heard, but if you're keen on unreliable narrators, Edwardian style meandering, this is a book worth trying. So yes, a recommendation of The Good Soldier by Maddox Ford. I also started and I'm almost finished with Berlin by Jason Lutes. A couple of weeks ago, one of my commenters, Libro Paradiso, who has a great channel you should check out, he saw this in the background and asked if I had been reading it. I said no, I hadn't. It's very large, so I don't want to start it. As you can see, it's quite big. I'm almost finished with it. I picked it up. I was kind of close to the beginning last night. I picked it up. I could barely put it down to go to bed. So I'll probably finish this evening. It's an incredible graphic novel that I think took Jason Lutes 20 years to publish in smaller little magazine or comic book size installments. It's incredibly detailed. For some reason, everything I'm opening to has stuff I don't want to show. But why? Why is every page showing stuff that I don't want to show? Okay, I'll just show you some of the. Oh, I cracked the spine. Oh well. I mean, it's a giant book anyway. But it has a lot of action. It basically has a huge cast of characters, and it takes place during. Here's one of the beautiful kind of 2-page spreads of street scenes of Berlin, and some of them are some of the pages will just have, you know, one image on them, and some will have, dozens. Just the way that it's all paced out is amazing. Um, so if you've seen Cabaret, the film or the play, it's kind of a similar milieu. It's set in Berlin, Germany during the Weimar Republic era, which is the late 20s, early 1930s. Or I guess the Weimar Republic technically was from the end of World War One. So, but this in particular is late 20s. And it goes in chronological order through, kind of month by month what's happening with these different sets of characters. Sometimes they meet each other, sometimes they don't, or they haven't yet. But you have a kind of idealistic writer, kind of a journalist. There's a young art student who's come to the city to take art classes, and then there are people of growing up there, working class families. There are people who are learning about and deciding how deep they want to get involved with the politics of the time, with the socialists or the Communist Party or the National Socialists. If you know about the history of this era, it is a wild historical period, and there's a lot of fighting in the streets, brawling, sometimes fatally fighting, and rioting. The things that happen have reverberations for over hundreds of pages in these people's lives, and there's a lot of brutality. There's also a lot of kindness, and different ways that people will express their kindness and maybe be understood or misunderstood. It's just an incredible book. I can't wait to finish it. You might not be big on graphic novels. I'm not a big reader of graphic novels, but this is incredible. The artwork is brilliant. It weighs a ton, but it's worth it. So that's Berlin by Jason Lutes. Thank you very much, Libro Paradiso, for the recommendation that I picked that one up. And some other things that happened on Monday evening. I was a guest on Monday Night Live, a live stream that takes place on Monday evenings or sometimes afternoon, and it's hosted by Greg of Another Bibliophile Reads and Alan of Big Hard Books and Classics. Two great channels which you should also be watching. You probably do if you watch me. You probably know those guys. And it was so much fun. I've been watching Greg's channel for years. I've been watching Alan for probably about a year or so, and it was our first conversation. But it was like these are guys that I know. These are so a very friendly chat about books and reading. We had some great participants in the chat, asking questions, and it was a lot of fun. Greg had just returned from a cruise, and I think he was perhaps a little under the weather, but he did a great job as host. So while we were on there, we talked about my cockamamie idea of reading Chekhov in the month of November, because it's a ready-made portmanteau Chekhov-ember. So I think I'm gonna try and establish this as an event. I had thought, look, there's 30 short stories in the Modern Library selected short stories of Anton Chekhov. We'll just read one a day. Greg said maybe that's a bit too much, and you know what? Greg is probably right. So we're gonna work on a schedule whereby we'll read maybe a couple of plays, and maybe have a couple of weeks where we read a subset of those short stories. So we'll get a good overview of Chekhov, and then maybe if that goes well, this subsequent year we'll read more Chekhov in November. So I need to get in touch with those gents, and if you're interested in being a co-host or participating in Chekhov in November, send me a message, and we'll see what we can do. So I think that'll be pretty fun. Usually I have my little dog Louise here. Louise is fine, but she's 12 and she was kind of limping around a little the other day. So we're trying to keep her from jumping up onto things or jumping off of things too much for a couple of days so she gets better. But she's okay. That's why there's not a poodle here. But let's see. We can have some poodle content in here. This is one of her favorite spots. I don't know if you can see that well because it's dark. Hey, there you are. Hey, sweetie. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. The people wanted to see you. You wagging your tail? Hi. Okay. All right. This isn't the content you come here for, or is it? Or is it? Is it? Is it? Right? All right. You're a good girl. Yes, you are. Okay. That's what I had. Thanks for watching. Bye.